Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my books that I've read this year so far, January through August, and September is the horse of a different color. I've read a lot of books in September, so I'm going to do that separately. I know it has been a while since I've posted, but life happens. I am back home, but I was working out of the home for a while, and I work in healthcare, and it was about 50 to 60 hours per week, and a lot of stuff. I've had 2 surgeries since April, one on the 10th of this month, so I've had to do a little resting and all of that. But I have been here on the YouTube watching, being a part of that or this community, and I really miss talking about books with you guys. I have read some good stuff this year, and so I'm excited to share these things with you. If you're new to this channel, hello, my name is Natasha. I normally read about 100 books a year, give or take. This year, I set my goal very low because I was working so much, and also I wanted to tackle some bigger books. But without any further ado, go ahead and give this video a like, thumbs up, and subscribe, because I'd love to see you here again soon. Alright, so like I said, we're going to start with January, and I'm going to go in the order that I finished them, and if it seems like I'm not quite as excited about a book, even though I'm telling you, you must read it, it's because it may have been 8 months or more since I read it. But if I'm really, really excited about a book, and I'm telling you that I'm really excited about a book, take it to heart. This book was like all I could think about when I was reading. Alright, so the first book that I finished this year was A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the 4th and final book in the An Ember in the Ashes series, and I highly recommend this series. I can't give you too much because this is the 4th. I was very satisfied with the way it ended. There was one little part in the book that I was just like, did they though? And if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But I was very satisfied with the ending, and I'm super excited to read more by her when it comes out. She is very into character development. If you know anything about her at all, that's why it takes her so long to go in between books. But the very first book in the series is An Ember in the Ashes. It's more Roman inspired. There are other things that are involved, and I highly, highly recommend it. Alright, so the second book that I finished, Legendborn by Tracy, Deonn. I cannot recommend this book enough. First of all, it is a King Arthur kind of inspired retelling, not really retelling. It has to do with him. I'm going to say that. It takes place at UNC Chapel Hill, which is not far from where I live. We go to football games, basketball games. My husband went there to school and went to an affiliate school. I really was like stoked to read this. Well, there's so much more to this book than that. There's actually a hidden gem of a storyline in here that you don't get even in the blurb, and it's just amazing. So I highly recommend this book. It's not only, and it's not like, even if you're not into King Arthur and all of that stuff, you'll still like this book because it's a twist on that. And there's just so much more to this book. I cannot recommend it enough. So our main character goes to school. She's in an early college program, and she sees something that she shouldn't be able to see, and someone who notices that, and all these things ensue. It's secret societies and all of that. So that is it all in your wheelhouse. Be sure to check this out. Okay. I mean, I can't even recommend that book enough. It's so, so good. All right. So the next book is probably one that has mixed feelings from other people, but I enjoyed it so much, and that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Paolini. This gives you found family vibes. It is sci-fi. It is a hard sci-fi. This gives me, I almost want to say Firefly vibes in one sense, but not in the others. I don't know why my nose is itching. Do I have like hair or something there? But people either really love this or really hate this, and I don't know why. I took my time reading this book. It's a beast, and it's like the Bible pages, like thin with all the writings, really tiny. So we follow our main character who is exploring in space like she's supposed to. That's her job. And she finds an alien life form. And during this time, humans have left Earth. Well, there are some on Earth, but they live out in the galaxies and whatever. And they're like just constantly looking for new places to inhabit or find things. But they've never found any alien life really other than one thing, but they've never found the aliens. They found like remnants. Well, she comes in contact with something that kind of like beacons them like, hey, that's ours. And she winds up with this crew of miscreants, and they are on this quest to solve things and save the planets. And I just don't want to say anything else, but I enjoyed the actual process of reading this book so much. Anytime I had like a minute at lunch or the evening or even a minute in the morning, I was just devouring this book. It took me a hot minute to read because it's pretty long and it's pretty meaty there. But I really enjoyed the process, like I said, of reading this book, and it was just so enjoyable for me, so it holds a special place in my heart, and I really enjoyed it. The next book is Fate of the Fallen by Kade. Holly from, I think it's Holly Loves Books, I don't know, I'll link her channel down below, but she talked about Kade before, and also books by Tor, and I saw on a book of the month that this was a book that was available, and so I snatched it up, and yeah. This book is interesting. It is a fantasy, and so this one dude is supposed to be like the chosen one, and he gets himself killed pretty early. This is all in the synopsis. And so his best friend basically carries his head around in a bag and is trying to do what he was supposed to do. He's like, I'm not giving up on the world. You guys may give up on the world, but the chosen one couldn't do what needed to be done, so I'm gonna give it a shot, and it's pretty entertaining. I haven't continued this series yet, but it's not like I wouldn't. It just wasn't something I wanted to run out and get, but I really did enjoy this. I'm sure you can hear Barry, my dog, flipping his ears and stuff. The next book was one of the book club books of the month, and that was The Exiles by Christina Baker Kline, and this book was a surprise for me. Some things that I didn't realize that made complete sense when I read this. So we're following a character who was a governess, and she fell in love with the older son of the family she was working for, and he was not very gentlemanlike. And the mother, the family of this man, child, whatever, accused her of stealing. She got put into prison, and we're talking about, this is like the 1800s. Prison, of course, was really bad, and she got shipped over to the prison colony in Australia, and then there was a shift. And this book is so surprising. If you like historical fiction at all, I believe this is a good book for you. You will learn things, and you will also really be rooting for some of these ladies in this book. So highly recommend that, The Exiles. The next book was one that was very anticipated for me to read this year, and that is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. Have I completed anything by her? I don't know that I have, other than this. But I started Let Me Hear a Rhyme, and then I just was in the mood for something else, so I stopped it, and I just haven't finished it yet. I do plan on finishing it because I was enjoying it, but this one, there's just something about her writing and just the way she can you know, she can make you, like when you're watching a movie and you're like, girl, don't go in there, or no, I'd be out of there. She has a way of writing so you're thinking like this, like you're in this with the characters. And so we follow our main character, I believe her name is Enchanted is her name, and she gets involved. She is a singer and she wants to obviously be famous, get a record deal, and she gets involved with an older record deal mogul guy, and mayhem ensues. This is really good. It was a very quick read for me, and I did enjoy it, and yeah, I highly recommend it. It is YA, but I think even if you're not really into YA, you would like this. And I think even if you're not really into YA, you would like her writing style. All right, so the next book on my list was a nonfiction, and it's Mary Kay on People Management by Mary Kay Ashe. She is, of course, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics. And this book has actually been on the New York Times bestseller for quite some time, and it's, I mean, when it came out, it is blurbed by lots of well-known entrepreneurs and people. She was really close friends with Estee Lauder and the guy who, Dave something, that founded Wendy's? Yeah. Anyway, she was very good with dealing with people, and I think that's the reason why her actual business part was so successful. But I really enjoyed that. So if you're into, you have people to manage and all of that, I do recommend that. It's a really good book. Next book is Troubles in Paradise by Hilderbrand. It's not normally my cup of tea, but I got the very first book in this trilogy couple years ago when it came out, and I listened to the audiobook while I was doing a lot of driving, and I got hooked on it. So that is the third and final book in the series, and it's good. If you like light, fluffy reads, it takes place in St. John in the Bahamas, and it's really good. It's not just there is a murder or an accident or whatever, and they're trying to figure out these things, but there's also these dynamics within the community and within the characters that is very good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Again, it's an easy read, but there are high stakes in it, which is something that I do enjoy if I'm reading something like that. And then because of the high stakes in it and the things that were going down, and the FBI, I don't know what that word was, FBI getting involved and all of that, really raised the stakes and trying to figure out this mystery of what happened, who's this, blah, 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 made it a little bit more interesting to me. So I do recommend that if you like any of those books. It wasn't necessarily like a Hallmark book, even though you look at the cover and you think it is. And it's pretty good. Next is, and I'm looking, if you see me looking down, I have like my notes here with all my books because I'm trying to do them in order. Next one is Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the follow-up to Children of Time. Children of Time is way better. I mean, obviously, it's really good. This is, what are we dealing with here? This is different, I gotta say. So before with the other book, they finally, all these people are trying to find these planets that were supposedly terraformed, blah blah blah. I don't want to give it away, but there were certain creatures there. Everybody has spoiled it and already told you it was spiders. So this is where the grown children of the people who came to the planet and the children of the spiders, they've heard a beacon elsewhere. And you see that at the very end of Children of Time, you hear them, there's a beacon from somewhere. So these people and spiders who are a part of this mission are going to find out what happened at this beacon. And that's all I'm gonna say. Go into this blind. It is good. You will devour it. Just do not expect it to be Children of Time. Children of Ruin, completely different thing. Oh yeah, I just remembered what it was. I'm not going to tell you. But it also has 8 legs, if that tells you anything. Alright, so I needed a little bit of a palette cleanse, fun, light thing to read, and this was recommended on book 2, Lightfall, The Girl in the Galdurian by Tim Probert. This is an adorable graphic novel. It is middle grade, but it is just so sweet and wholesome, and I love everybody's supposed to either be afraid of this guy or like mystified by him, and he's just like, hey, I'm here, you know, let's go do this. Like he's like, oh, well, we've got to go through here to get to this place. It's dangerous. Well, we still got to go through there, you know. And it's really cute. So they go, she meets this Galdurian, there it is, out in the forest while she's getting something for her grandfather. They come back, her grandfather is gone, and he left a little note, and she's like, oh, he's not the way he normally or used to be. He's forgetful, he's got issues, blah, 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 we gotta find him. And so they are on this quest, and we find that there's a little bit more to Grandpa than meets the eye. So, yeah, good one. The next one was another one of my middle grade, Hollowpox. The Hunt for Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. Couple things about this book. First, is this the one? No, this is the one, that's right. So I pre-ordered this. This is the UK edition. And when I first got it, I sat down to read, and like a bunch of pages in the beginning were missing. And so I contacted Waterstones, or like, that happened to a lot of people, so they sent me another signed edition, which was correct, which is fine. But this one wasn't my favorite. The concept is good, but I don't know, I just wasn't happy with the way things ended in this one. Not necessarily with the Hollowpox thing, but just the whole, I don't know, it just didn't fit the vibe of the first two, in my opinion. But I am going to continue with it and see where it goes. It got really dark when it came to like the Wondersmith stuff towards the end, so that wasn't my jam, but I'm gonna keep going. But this is a middle grade series that I really do enjoy. It's compared to Harry Potter, but it's not. It's way more whimsical, and we're in a magical, like, other realm, like other place where magic is everywhere. And there is a great friend group in here, and found family and all of that. So it is very heartwarming, very sweet, but it's just different. Like I said, I love the first two so much, and I actually liked this one until it got kind of towards the end there, but we'll see. It's not going to keep me from going further. Alright, so the next book is one that's been on my TBR forever, and if you've been following me on Instagram or on YouTube at all for any amount of time, you're gonna laugh when you see this, because it's been on my TBR so many times, but I finally read The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I liked it. I liked it. It was not, I liked the Little Princess a lot better, but you know, I read it. It's good. Cute little classic for children. It is, remember, it's the time in which it was written. There are not like overt racist things being said in here, but she did live in India, and then she came to the UK to live with her uncle. But certainly there are things that, if you really examine what she's saying or what other people are saying, it's not good. But again, I feel like that shouldn't be changed in classics, because it opens the door for you to talk to your children, or you know, teenagers or whatever about what's being said. So there. But I did like it. It wasn't like a book I'm like, well, that's crap, but I did like it. But again, I really loved A Little Princess and all of that so much better. That's why I read it. The next ones, let me grab that stack of books and I'll be right back. Okay, so for part 2 here, I'm gonna go ahead and I put these books upside down. Let me do this the right way. So the next book I read was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. That was Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. You do have to read all the others before you get here. So just know that. I tell people now, because when you're reading these books, the first 3 are the Shadow and Bone trilogy. You can tell Leigh Bardugo's writing has grown. Those 3 books are written a little bit more YA. Just get through them. And then move on to Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, which is what I actually read first, and then I went back and read the first 3. And you can do that, but I don't recommend it, because Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are such a different writing style that when you go back, you're like, huh? You're a little, like, it's not the same. It's not the same. But, yeah. So read the first 3, go to Six of Crows, get through King of Scars. King of Scars had a part in it. Ooh, my light almost went bye-bye. King of Scars had a part in it that jumped the shark for me, but then it came back to reality and I was okay. Yeah. But this one had none of that. It was so good. All the characters in it. So you've got your original characters, you've got your main characters, you've got your crows, and you can tell the difference in the voicing and the writing when you go from Ravka? When you go from Ravka, and then when you go to Kirch and you're talking to the crows and they're interacting, it is so different. There is a definite shift in the writing and in the way they're interacting with each other, which is what it's supposed to be. And this book is really good. I keep saying it's really good. It's a really good book. It's a really good book. But I really enjoyed this one, and it sets up for another heist with the crows at the end. I'm just going to give you that little spoiler, even though it's not a spoiler, because I'm not telling you what it is or who it is or what it is. But check these books out if you haven't gotten on that bandwagon yet. Get on it. And honestly, I did watch the television show, which I normally wouldn't do, but my husband was like, you've got to watch this with me, and blah blah blah. So we watched, because he's read all the books other than that one. He's up to King of Scars. But they actually did a really good job, and there are differences. There are changes. So there's differences in the book than the show, but I'm okay with them, actually. So yeah, take that as you will. Alright, next book. Beach Read by Emily Henry. This was our book club book of the month. I pretty much made up my mind I was not going to read this book because everybody was just losing their mind over it, and it just, I don't know why I was like that. I don't know. It's a good book. It wasn't great. There is a romance. That's probably what it is. I'm not into romance books. Just not. And I thought this would be more heavy on the romance than it is. And that was nice. But yeah, it's pretty good. I think I gave it 3 stars, which is not a bad rating. But yeah, go ahead and check this out if you're kind of on the fence and you're like kind of curious, but don't really want to fall for it, that kind of thing. Go ahead. It's okay. Just read it. There is a little bit more substance to it than you think. I need something to drink. I'm getting a little dry. Alright. Next book. Severence by Ling Ma. I got this book because Noelle Gallagher, I will link her channel down below, was like, 5 stars, I love this book, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay. And then the one thing that really sold me on it is apparently, okay, so there's a plague. There's a plague, and it hits, and some people survive and some people don't. And she's like, you're in an office setting, and are they just in the office, or are they going about in a plague? Like, kind of that thing. And I thought, that sounds interesting. But it wasn't that at all. Not at all. But she does go back and forth with the the narrator is going back and forth, like the the girl's remembering life before as she's living in the whatever. So I have mixed feelings. I think I went into this expecting one thing and got another. However, not a bad book. I think I gave it 3 stars, middle of the road for me, but I would recommend it. It is a short book, and again, let's see what this, yeah, it just talks about a lot of stuff in the blurb that I feel like it didn't represent the book well, if that makes sense. But what actually has happened, there's been a plague, and this particular girl is one of the people who's immune to it. And there are a group of people who are immune to it. But it's a very small group. But resources, she lives in New York City, resources are becoming scarce. She's gonna try and travel back home, which I can't remember where that was, like Ohio or something. I might be making that up. And she wanted to maybe go back and see if anything was there, because there's no services, no nothing going on, no electricity, nothing, because no one's there to run them. Yeah. And so she runs across a group of people who are going to this place that there's a man who's, do you see what I'm saying? I'm getting convoluted here. There's a man who says he has like a warehouse or whatever, and they're gonna go there, and he's got lots of supplies. I think you can tell right away that he's kind of a nut, but yeah. So anyway, she starts to travel with them, and it's kind of the story of how they do things getting there, and then what happens, and just, no. It was disappointing, but like I said, I think if I would have gone in not knowing anything, I would have enjoyed it more, because I wouldn't have been expecting one thing and getting another. So take that with a grain of salt. Alright, next book I have is my most disappointing book of the year. I was so excited for this book. The concept sounded amazing. And what's sad is I've also heard other people say this is their most disappointing book of the year. It's the most beautiful cover. I hate to unhaul it because of the beautiful cover, but I don't think I'm ever going to read this again. But if I ever read this again, I would only read the historical parts. I'm going to show you what it is. Don't you worry. It's told in 2 parts, present day and the historical side. If they'd have pulled a Margaret Atwood Handmaid's Tale, told all the historical side, and then at the end be in present day or the future and shown what they found, that would have worked. I cared not one lick for our main character in the present time or anything she was doing, and it made no sense. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So she finds a bottle, and then she just goes in and investigates the bottle. Like, who does that? I mean, she is she was a history major or whatever, but she doesn't actually work in that. No. But the actual historical parts, I could have read a whole book on just the historical parts. And the historical parts are there. And I love this book. It's a woman who was, her mother was an apothecary. So she helped women in women's troubles and things like that, made medicine for them. Then she basically turns into, which she could still do that, but women know that if they have a problem man in their lives, like an abusive husband or brother or boss or something like that, they can come to this woman, the apothecary, and she will give them something that they can kill them with, and it won't be traceable. And I want that story all day long, but the actual bulk of it is the present day lady, which I do not care about. I was so disappointed. I thought, well, this is going to be 3. I think I gave it 2 stars, if that. I'm mad about how disappointed I am in that book. Moving on. So I do like to put some, oh, I did that backwards. I read The Lost Apothecary and then I read Severence. Alright, so got a couple of nonfiction here. First is Fervent, A Woman's Battle Plan for Serious, Specific, and Strategic Prayer by Priscilla Shirer. This is the second time I've read this book. I'm currently doing the Bible study. I really enjoy this book, and if you feel like you need to do some spiritual warfare, read this book. Good times. The next book I read was Good Morning, Good Life by Amy Schmidauer-Landino. She has a channel here on YouTube. I will link it down below. I hope I remember to link all the people I've said I will link down below. This book is really good. What I like about her, she doesn't give you a specific, like, get up at 6 a.m. You do your exercise. She basically gives you, like, lays out, hey, you need some mindfulness, some movement, some meditation. Is that the three? I couldn't even make it up those three, but that sounded good. And then she gives you examples, and this is a really good book. It's a quick read, and it's she helps you kind of develop what you need to have your perfect good morning, and she's basically telling you your morning, the way you start your day, is gonna help how you live the rest of your day. And it's not always going to be the same, and throughout life things are going to change, and if you have kids and stuff, it's also going to be different. But she's like, these are basic strategies to get you through all of those years. So I do recommend this. It's a good one. The next one has been on my TBR for a very long time. Ever since I read Nomadland by someone I can't remember. I'll put their name on the screen. She had followed a bunch of people, and we're not talking like hashtag van life people. She actually followed people who either lived in RVs or had to go live in their cars, not by choice, but all of this stuff. And a lot of them mentioned this book. So I immediately put it on my TBR. I got it. It's been sitting on my shelf forever. I took the time to read it and was not disappointed. Blue Highways by William Lee Teetmoon. This, I think, takes place in the late 70s, so like 78, 79. He literally gets in his van and he travels all around the US, and he doesn't take a lot of the big interstates. He takes the back roads pretty much, or the highways, the blue highways. And he stops and he sees people doing things in the yard or the field or at a weird gas station or a mill, and he just stops and he starts talking to them. So not only is it his story, but it's the story of all these remarkable people, and he's got photos in here and all of that. So I can't recommend this enough. It can be a little bit of a dry read sometimes, but get through it. It's good. I really did enjoy it. All right. We are almost to the end here. Next book is The People We Keep by, who are you? Allison Larkin. I really like this one. It was one of my Book of the Month picks recently. This takes place in the 90s, so technically historical fiction, which is that. This is a girl who finds herself basically alone. Her mother has passed away, I think. I don't remember if her mother passed away or left. Anyway, doesn't matter. There's no mom in the picture. The dad basically shacks up with this other lady who's basically this not much older than her. And she just decides to get out. She gets in the car and she leaves. And she makes her way, through life. And things happen. She's not 18, and so she has to kind of hide and pretend and falsify documents and things like that to get herself jobs. And yeah, it's a very heartwarming story. Again, found families and transient kind of a lifestyle that does wind up home, and I really enjoyed this book. It was a good read. The next one, I needed a little bit of a palate cleanser, but this wasn't that much of a palate cleanser. I don't explain. The Nature of Jade by Deb Coletti. One of my favorite books of all time is A Heart and a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. And I've read, I think this is maybe the third book of hers that I've read, and none of them have hit me the way that one did. I do highly recommend that book. Even if you're not into YA, it doesn't really read YA. It just happens to be a younger person and her grandpa. Okay, but none of the others have hit me quite the way that one has. This one's pretty decent. It's a girl who watches elephants on a cam at the zoo. She eventually starts to, volunteer with them. She sees a boy on the cam with a small child, and she like becomes like obsessed with meeting him. They finally meet. They have... Are you that bored, Barry? Did you hear him sigh? I don't know if you can hear him. But yeah, she becomes obsessed with meeting him. She does. Blah, blah, blah. And then trouble ensues. So that's basically that. Yeah, so the next 3 books, I do have one of them, but it's up here, and I was not pulling it out of that box again. But the next book that I read was The Gray Seer by Kim Liggett, I think. This is one of our book club books of the month of the year. And this book started out strong. I had kind of vibes of M. Night Shyamalan's Village, but it wasn't that at all. For some reason else was picking up. The first 100 pages were so interesting to me. I was all about it because I was like, oh, what is this? What is this? What is happening? And yeah. So it, like, you can't tell the time frame. It seems like it's dystopian, but it also seems like ye olden times. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know what's happening. But basically, when girls turn 16, they're all marched to this fortressy thing. I don't know what it's called. Fort. And they're forced to live there for a year and then come back. The men say, and so they have magic in them that can beguile men. And so they have to expel the magic out there. It's crazy. You've got this one girl who's just like the alpha female who everybody like worships, and then you've got our main character who's like smart and it's like, well, we need to be doing this, that, and the other, and this girl's like, we've got to do something to expel the magic, and then the girl's like, there is no magic, like, you know that, I know that, we have no, yeah, lots of stuff, and the way it ended, I was just like, I'm a little confused. And so talking it over with some of the girls that even like looked it up online, like, what does this mean? Yeah. If you want an interesting read, kind of, it's not really a game, but it is girls pitted against each other pretty badly. Like, Hunger Games in the Ring or Red Rising or something like that. It gets rough. Yeah. I just didn't know how to feel about it, I think is what I'm saying. I think I don't remember if I gave it 3 or almost 4 stars. I kind of was in the middle. Again, as I started reading it, I was expecting one thing and I got another. But turns out there was an explanation for some things. But just this, I don't know what else to say. I would recommend it if you're into that kind of thing. Just like you don't know what's going on, but something's going on, and then you're figuring out what's going on, and they're basically trying to keep the women down, control the women, kind of a thing. So yeah, I don't know how to explain this book. I just don't. Yeah, it wasn't a bad read. So like I said, it is one of those things where read it and see for yourself. Doesn't take a long time to read. And the next one was one I just kind of saw on the shelf. I was at the library and I was like, oh, that looks cool, because I was looking for smaller books at that time. And it was Blue Marlin by Leigh Smith. It's funny, it had a North Carolina sticker on it, so I don't know if that means she's a North Carolina author. But it did not take place in North Carolina at all. It was like Virginia, South Carolina, and then they went to the Keys. So I don't know whether there was a North Carolina sticker on it, unless, like I said, I don't know. Anyway, my point is, it's a cute little book. It was a historical fiction, I want to say, but it takes place, I can't remember if it takes place in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, but something like that, when women still had, you know, were, I'm thinking maybe 60s. I'm thinking maybe the 60s. I don't know. But there are some actual real things that occur in the book that they're a part of. And basically, the basic gist of it is there's a lady in town who comes in and she, her grandfather or something, uncle something died. She goes and she lives in his house. And she's not the main part of the story, but she causes the story. And she's an artist, she's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. The main character is a little girl who catches her father kissing this girl. And then later, she doesn't tell anybody. Later on, the wife and everybody figures out that they're having an affair. He moves out, blah, 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 but then they decide to go on vacation together as a family to try and salvage their marriage. And it's about that. It's also about just this little girl's experiences, and it's just well done. It's very well done. I think I gave it at least 4 stars. Again, it was not anything like mind-blowing, but it's incredibly well written and well-rounded. And I do recommend that one. The last one for August, we're done, is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. Finally, I have finished the Mistborn trilogy. Oh my word. I'm thankful that other people have said some things that I've seen, but a lot of people lose their mind over this trilogy, and it's good. It is. It's very good. It's a good magic system. It's a good political thing. I really enjoyed it. However, there are parts of it, especially in the relationships between our main character and our other main character, that I can't tell you about because it will spoil the first book, that are very beyond YA to me. I don't like it. I feel like the second book in this series could have been cut in half if they'd all just sat down together and told each other what was going on in their own little thing. Then they could have put things together and half the book would be gone. But that's just me and my thoughts. I don't know. But I do, like I said, I do enjoy the actual plot of this story, the actual everything of the story, the magic system, all of that is good. So do read that. I have heard other people say, if you want to start with Sanderson, start with Wartbreaker? Is that the one? The one that talks, their magic system has to do with colors or something. That one. So, anyway, my light just did a weird thing. Got some new lights, like small lights. I still have my big lights, but I got some new small lights that are less harsh, but I don't know what any of this lighting is gonna look like. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna run out of time here in a minute. I appreciate you guys so much for staying here with me. I appreciate you guys for being subscribed and being here with me from the beginning. And I will see you very soon with a September wrap up. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, gorgeous.